Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Hope you are.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. I appreciate you letting me come in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming.
You know, the idea behind these interviews when I first started doing them is to learn more about our area and getting everybody to kind of talk about what their involvement is really allowing me to see that I don't know as much as I thought I know.
Okay.
So if you want to have a seat, I'd like to ask you a couple questions if that's okay. The two of us grew up here and we've been around each other quite a bit, but you know, when I think about my youth, there's certain things that bring smiles to my face.
Yes.
And I always ask people that when they got here, what was that one thing that you think about when you were younger that brings a smile to your face?
Well, I'd have to say Lake Hickory. I mean, we spent our weekends, anytime it was pretty, we were out there tying up to pontoon boats, parents and kids. It was, you know, family centric. When we weren't playing sports, because the center and Hickory Rec had such great things, but family-wise, it's definitely being on Lake Hickory.
And you know, outside looking in now, what a resource we have to be able to, is, you know, in the real estate world, to talk about, you know, that attribute or that amenity to our city is amazing. So you graduated from Hickory and you went up to Appalachian State.
Yes.
You spent some time up there, ultimately found your husband.
Yes.
You know, you guys decided to move back here and raise a family here in the end. What drew you to Hickory and what pushed you to come back here?
Well, I always thought I'd end up at the beach, to be honest with you. When I was growing up, I thought I'm going to end up at the beach selling houses, and he got a job at the airport, and it was perfect because it all worked out, and then I ended up working in residential real estate. But it didn't take long for us to realize we were right where we meant to be.
Yeah, and you touched on when you came here selling houses, and that's where your career started. You started in residential real estate and really land development and new home sales, but quickly kind of transitioned into commercial. Talk to me about what kind of drew you to commercial real estate and why you went that direction.
Right. Well, actually, the brothers that started commercial first, Jason and Cole Richardson, reached out to me and said, "What are you doing? You need to come sell commercial real estate." And I thought, well, I'm driving up and down 70 going, I don't know that selling buildings is that exciting. And they eventually convinced me, and I love it. And I'm so glad. That was in 2001. And I look back and I'm going, oh my gosh, this is, 25 years later, here I am, how different my life would be if I wouldn't have done that. And it was really neat because in thinking about it, it's such a male-dominated field. And it didn't even dawn on me that that was a barrier. And they saw that in me and invited me into it, and here we are.
Yeah, well, I think it's funny because in these interviews, a lot of them come down to people believing in somebody because this town is investing in itself, and to have individuals identify people that they want in their field, they trust in their field, them doing that, like I said, other interviews we've had, that's been a major part of success for a lot of these people, and it's kind of really heartwarming to know that the community kind of watches out for one another and kind of does that. Yeah. So we are in a very relationship-driven industry, the two of us, in residential real estate and commercial real estate, and you have a number of different kind of clients. The first client that I think of with you are people in town that are trusting you with their baby. Maybe it's been a building that's been in their family for 60, 70, 80 years. It has an application that may not really work right now, and you've got to find somebody that helps transition into that and makes the town proud, makes the past owner proud, because this is what what we're trying to do. Like, tell me about how rewarding it is for people that want to come to you and trust you with that, and kind of making that transition for new clients.
Well, I pinch myself sometimes when we look around and think about the people that do trust us. Our clients are really special, and it's neat. As far as what's the most gratifying, there's really three. One is, that outside corporation, because we sell in North and South Carolina. So Hickory is not all of our business. So it's that outside client where we can show off Catawba County and the city and show them how great it is, and then see them come and flourish here. Two, it would be just seeing small businesses grow and relocate within. I mean, I think of Dockside. Dockside Fish was up in an older convenience store. They moved to a place where they needed more access, they needed more room, and he has just shot up. You know, his business was always good, but the new stores allowed him to bring in more products. So that's gratifying. And then the third is just the evolution of buildings. You drive around and see how things have changed, and 25 years, I know I'm telling on myself, I feel we're old, Hank, because we're not that far apart in age.
For sure.
But just seeing how the landscapes changed through Hickory and architecturally in a good way. In a lot of places, like think about downtown and what it used to be in 2000 when we were here, and a lot of those stores were vacant.
Right. Now you talked about like corporate, the corporate life here, and finding you have relationship with corporate partnerships all over this town, and being able to like accommodate what they're looking for, because they're not specific to Hickory. They're they're specific to hitting numbers and making sure that that's going to be successful, and you're a part of opening up their eyes to, hey, this is going to be the right spot for you. This is going, and you've done that consistently with a lot of different corporations. Like what is that kind of like experience like in selling Hickory? Because I sell it, or we sell it from a perspective of, hey, this is going to make your family adventure, what it needs to be. But the corporate side is a little bit different. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, they look at quality of life for their employees, which is huge. But I really have to give a lot of credit to the government here. I mean, our EDC is incredible. We have got a rock star team, and I know I'm bragging on them, but also City of Hickory. It wasn't always like that. I mean, when I started in my career, City of Hickory was a hard place to do business. We got a lot of no's. And that was recognized, and those obstacles were overcome. And now people come here and they say, we love doing business in the City of Hickory, because they figure out how to say yes. And if they have to tell us no, there's a reason. And that, pro-business climate is contagious. And you see it with everything. You see it with the chamber. You see it with, now we have different universities here, and everybody's starting to work together with a more cohesive environment. And that is a good ingredient. I mean, those are all good ingredients for success.
Right, and I think that that's an important part, because I was, I've interviewed Warren Wood, and I've talked to individuals that were talking about how that relationship isn't always really conducive in small town USA, and there's this worry of, is that change going to really change the size, the outlook, the feeling of our town? And we've really embraced it. The Catawba County has, and all the cities within the Catawba County has. And so it's kind of nice to see that happen as well, because it doesn't always happen everywhere. So, I mean, I think that's important in your job and in my job. It's certainly important. Now, we talk about things that go well in our industries, but we also have to think about the things that we're concerned with, those things that we have anxiety about, that things that are going to impact us in the next 5, 10, 15 years, and we have to kind of plan for today, and that's the biggest part. So like when we talk about obstacles or things that you're going to worry about in those sections 5, 10, 15 years, what do you think about?
Well, immediately it's supply. I mean, we have a lot more buyers than we do sellers, and there's buildings, to find good buildings and property, there's just not much. So that's an immediate issue. Going forward, I would say, technology is a blessing and a curse. We've got to learn how to be more creative. We've got to learn how to get the word out, and not be comfortable with, what status quo is. So I think technology specific to commercial real estate is definitely something that is going to be, already is an obstacle, but is going forward. As far as 5 to 10 years from now, I don't know that I can think that far ahead.
Well,
and figure out exactly what it's going to be, but I say that honestly because it's changed so much. If I look back 2001 and had to say what 2011 looked like, it would be completely different. So I think the main thing is you roll with it, you provide really good service, and you constantly push the bar on, not that we're doing it always right and the best, but we're trying. And just never settling for average.
Well, I think that it speaks of our experience here, because that's the mature answer. Is like, in our business, forecasting is hard to do. Year to year, it's hard to do. So the anxiety of what's 5 years, 10 years, our industry could be completely different, which, starting in 2004 in the residential industry, it is amazing to see the changes. to exactly what's happened, and I know in 5-10 years I'm not going to be able to predict that as well. So knowing that we can't predict that, but is there excitement in the next 5 or 10 years?
Oh,
like
100%.
what excites you about our area and about commercial real estate in the next 10 years?
You know, I catch myself telling people it's a great time to be alive, because, and just to live where we are with the bond referendum and everything, the momentum that kicked off, and over $800 million of private money that's been put back into our economy within, you know, a mile of all the bond projects. It's really spurred growth. And we're on the map. People are talking about us, and it's neat. So if I go back and I look at our business, 2005, we'll call it, 70% of my business was not in Catawba County. And, you know, obviously with the shift in 2007, things kind of changed. We diversified. Now, I'd say, I think when we looked at it, about 80% is in the 4-county region of what we do. So we're still all over North and South Carolina,
right,
but there's more business here. And we used to not be able to say that. So it's great to be able to work with the people that I grew up with, and the county government and the city government and everybody, to make an impact here and not have to go out as much as we used to.
Right, and the impact on that is greater than what we know, because
Sure.
we have young kids
Yes.
that are living here, and I think that that's part of it. Is when we moved back to Hickory, it wasn't a comfortable move. Sometimes
Right.
people would ask us why we're doing, and you just told a story a minute
Yes.
ago to me that I
Yes.
wanted you to, because it pertains to this.
So over Christmas, my 21-year-old was home, and he came home and he said, we were just eating in El Paso. There were either 10 or 12 of them there. And he said, every single person at that table wants to find a job in Hickory. Yeah. And I was like, really? Not holding on to that, no expectations. But I will say that was not common. Right. And now they see how special it is to be here, and just the collaborative environment of people that live here. The people make it.
Right.
Special, and they see that, and you know, so there will be more generations hopefully coming back here to raise their family.
Right.
So I don't know. It was a neat aha moment, because like as we were talking, it just wasn't that way necessarily not too long ago.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because of the work that the city has done is helping to produce that. If you go down, you know, in early 2000s, if you went downtown and looked at a Friday night, it would be a ghost town. And now when you go there in the summer and the sales are going on, you'll have hundreds of people, from small children all the way up to grandparents, sitting there and enjoying it. And people can come back here as a 20-year-old or 21-year-old
Yes.
and see, you know, this isn't the same Hickory that I grew up in.
Right.
And which is really cool for them to recognize that, but also for all of us that have been a part of this growth to have some pride in that.
Oh, sure.
And to say, hey, you know, I was a part of this, whether it's just outside looking in or actually being part of the big cog. So,
right.
I mean, I think that that's really cool. But, you know, each one of these industries that I get to talk to, and each one of the individuals I get to talk to, mm-hmm. have a very unique story about Hickory. And I thought I knew a lot about this town, and I feel like I do know a lot, but I'm learning more every time I get to do it. So I really appreciate your willingness to sit down with me.
For thinking of me. I mean, I love, like I said, love to talk about Hickory any chance I get. So thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.